Now I request Professor Purushottam Reddy Garu to make as per our request. Thank you. Please come, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dilip Reddy Garu. At the outset, I wish to thank the chief guest for his valuable time, because not only he had attended the Paris conference, and recently he was there in Glasgow, and being an eyewitness, he has wonderfully narrated the reality, the situation there right now that is existing. It is true that initially China's absence was a big news, just as he pointed out in Bengal and even in Hyderabad for that matter. Huzurabad election, it sidelined COP26 deliberations. Well, this is India, and though there has been a lot of progress, but I think when we look at the Constitution and when we look at the march of democracy, I think somewhere democracy is stuck and it's not moving. In fact, I get a feeling sometimes that we only have a Constitution which pledges, and sometimes, we are inspired by the preamble. Most often, we miss the basic structure of the Constitution in its functioning. Occasionally, we may see a wonderful judgment from the Supreme Court. But what is shocking, that the Supreme Court orders are not complied with this in this country. And I can give you umpteen number of case studies. You're here in Hyderabad, sir. I request Jayanta Ghoshal Garu to please note that we have a chief secretary against whom 290 non-compliance cases have been filed. And he still continues, he is protected by the government of Telangana. What are we discussing here? Constitution seems to be suspended when it comes to Telangana. And this is the position, I can tell you, it's happening throughout the country with varying degrees. The media has to once again revive the spirit of India's freedom struggle, and we need to restore democracy. Coming to the subject, sir, thank you for being with us today, but since we need to continue the discussion, I just wish to, in about 5 minutes time, because we have distinguished personalities from the media, authors, journalists, and some of the best brains of India are here, RTI activists. My humble submission is we need to look at the scenario that is presently engulfing the entire planet Earth. It's a very, very serious issue. And because COP26 is right now, the conference is in vogue, and therefore, because it's taking place, we are talking only about climate change. But the problem is, it is one chapter in the book of environment. Climate change is, after all, one chapter, no doubt a very important chapter, but this is not the whole subject. When we look at the subject of environment, it is mind-boggling. For example, in order to get to the roots of the problem, I wish to remind our distinguished audience about the World Commission on Environment and Development report. That particular report, which is also known as Brundtland Commission, they had identified the depletion of the ozone layer, global warming, leading to climate change, loss of biodiversity, spreading desertization, and the danger posed by nuclear reactors and nuclear bombs. But in addition to this, everybody talks about development. As you rightly pointed out, sir, the British Prime Minister, from trying to defend the coal mine in the name of employment, I think that is foolish, because, and you made it known also. The question is, what is development? Show me one country in the world which has bothered to define development. Has India defined it? Which chief minister in India has ever defined? Has Mamata Banerjee defined what development is? Or KCR? Or Stalin, or anybody in the country? we, the people in this country, we are simply groping in the dark. And when the Prime Minister and the Chief Ministers talk about development, they are only having the interests of the corporate section. Have they ever consulted with the poorest of the poor in this country? Do they know, do they really understand under what conditions the farmers are struggling? They purchase the seed, it doesn't germinate. And moreover, it is not local, it is not endemic, and it is a hybrid seed. Most are nowadays genetically modified. And what is the big pattern of agriculture that we have promoted? It is nothing but hybridization of seeds and chemicalization of agriculture. That's not the only thing, sir. In the beginning, Uma from NDTV, she was talking about the urban floods. It was informal conversation between us. And sir, here I wish to point out that the whole world already has enough knowledge. There is a book by name Design with Nature. Now show me which urban architect in this country has ever read it once. We have all kinds of, Delhi Development Authority, Hyderabad, HMDA, and, all kinds of urban bodies. Even we have a national ministry, urban affairs. They have no idea what urbanization is. They are simply, it is nothing but concretization of the living spaces in urban. Hyderabad is world famous right now for the vanishing lakes. Every lake is, with the active connivance of the ruling parties and other political parties. Yesterday, a lake will be there. Today, it is no more. How many times media has reported? They are doing their job. Okay. And sometimes the judiciary takes note of it and issues a notice. Public interest litigation. Okay, so motto. But where is the big follow-up? So these things we need to correct. So just in view of the shortage of time, I wish to point out this country will never be on the road to sustainability until the greening of Indian political parties happens. Every political party must put in their manifestos that they are committed to sustainable development goals. So far, not a single political party has ever said it. Not only that, they not just by including, Naam ke Vaste. No prime minister has ever talked about sustainability, except for in the initial years, maybe Indira Gandhi, then because most of the environmental laws had come into being then. But right now, India is the only country in the world, a major democracy, which does not have EPA. Environment Protection Authority, we don't have. And with what face we go and attend international conferences? What is our big commitment? So this is what we witness in India right now is double speak, and it's a very serious issue. What this country right now requires is dedicated, committed Green Party. That is the need of the hour. I'm not delving into the topic right now. Secondly, this country requires a major paradigm shift. This incremental approach here and there, a program like Swachh Bharat, or, just going to Haridwar and one token for a day, some sympathy for the Ganga and expressing that it is our mother. Other days we forget our mother conveniently. Or a patch in Gujarat, Sabarmati area, we show it and say that things are happening. Every river in this country is poisoned. Every river, show me one river which is where we can go and drink water like our grandfathers did. What's happening? The crisis is very serious, sir. And to say that India is the fourth biggest emitter, okay. And right now, I also hear the argument that no, we need to develop, and therefore we need to continue the burning of fossil fuels. What is this we are talking? This is the time when we need to bypass fossil fuels, the whole world simultaneously. And let us not put the blame game, India, China, America, because what all these countries are talking about, that is not development, that is destruction. Yes, we need to stop it. Recently, there was one very good article in Sakshi, and that article is, it has compared our planet Earth to a ship and mentioned that the ship is sinking. Now, when the ship is sinking, everybody in that particular ship will be drowned. So why play the blame game? Lastly, sir, I request every thinking personality, because we have wonderful writers, journalists. Sir, we have to put all the information that IPCC has given out, their conclusions. That is one. Secondly, we need to also take into consideration the very many observations of David Attenborough, particularly his witness statement. That has to be definitely looked into very seriously. A person who for 70 years has been working relentlessly, and he has even addressed, as you have seen in Glasgow, he was there at the age of 95 or 96. What is his great commitment? We all should be inspired. In addition to this, yes, we should draw inspiration from Rachel Carson's book, the first book, The Silent Spring, then the next important book, Limits to Growth. Ralph Nader's, lectures given at Harvard and other universities. See, these are the people who have been, and then connected to the suffering people. Here in Telangana, as just 2 years ago also, just slightly before COVID, the government of India and Telangana government wanted to destroy the Nalamala forest, which is some of the best sample of Eastern Ghats, and all in the name of uranium mining. How can uranium mining be classified as development? It is a different thing that the local people opposed it with success. And in 2 months, they were able to stall it. Thanks to the social media. Technology is available, therefore information goes. The problem is very, very critical. Entire North India, all the urban areas are unlivable. And my advice to our dear friend Jayanta Garu, you come to the south, at least there is some better air. Delhi is finished. And no government is bothered. I don't know how with all the Prime Minister's office, the bureaucracy, the central universities, what's happening to our country? Why can't we take up that issue? Where is the commitment? So these are all some of the issues, sir. The problem, the challenge before the world is to realize sustainable development goals. But right now, in most of the countries, we don't have democratic governments. Right now, it's not just China or Pakistan. Even in our country, we have democracy only for one day. And that also, the worst example of Indian democracy was the other day in Huzurabad election, when people went on an agitation demanding 6,000 rupees per vote. And nobody was punished. So we all need to very seriously introspect, because it is not just our future, because the subject of environment itself it talks about equity between in the present generation, between the nations, and also between generations. Thank you very much, sir. I have not seen the time, but
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Though it is a few minutes exceeding time, but it is a tremendous message for all the participants today. I hope that, as you said, science and technology is giving new tools, new equipments, even for expansion of media. Media has to take which are the core issues and how to make the political system and political boss who are at the helm of affairs to take concern for certain issues which are impacting people in big way. That has to be done. As you rightly said, that in future, I think if media compels this political system to become accountable and answerable on the certain issues which are priorities for the entire universe and nature and the planet, they have to turn into that line. Otherwise, green parties has to come for the next to take up the charge. We are extending a heartfelt thanks for the core issues you mentioned, and hope that with your message, our further deliberations will definitely show that as far as this environment and climate change issues are concerned, which are the concern areas, how these issues are converting against the human beings by all biodiversity of this rich planet Earth. Such all things must come as the forefront issues for the media to focus it and prioritize it, and to make the system accountable and answerable. Thank you once again, sir. Now I request